just a little bit ago, both of you were talking about diversity in the movement and how there's a need for that. And it reminded me of a recent letter that came out in the secular world from the Secular Women organization, talking about the Secular Coalition of America changing their rules such that small groups, including secular women, would be excluded from the annual meetings. And wondered what your thoughts were on that, y'all. What do you think?
For an organization that has tried, meaning SCA, has tried for years to build itself as sort of the umbrella lobbying arm for all secular groups, I don't know how they can justify that decision. I mean...
Yeah, you've got to include everybody.
Yeah, and I mean, by doing this, they're keeping the larger groups that can basically afford the membership to SCA. And they're losing the voice of all of the smaller groups that are really the grassroots that will bring the diversity that we need. And if nothing else, a diversity of viewpoint that I think is critical. But I don't know. I've looked at some of the things that SCA has done in the past several years, and it's been underwhelming, to say the least. And they seem to have been pretty intent on narrowing their focus. For a long time, they had a Republican, conservative person, and they were like, oh, there's lots of atheist Republicans. It's like, well, how'd that work out for y'all? It's not going well right now.
Right. I didn't print out the letter. I wish I had. The wording in it was that the SCA said they had narrowed it because it would make things in some way simpler.
Well, of course.
But see, that's the thing right there, Jen. I hear you. I hear all of it. It's like, it's not supposed to be simple.
Yeah.
And if what you're hearing is complicated, you need to listen extra hard.
Yeah, the summary, I mean, I did read the letter. To me, the summary was kind of this idea of Secular Women was responding to a call for the larger secular community saying, how do we engage more women into the movement? And so they came up and said, we would love to talk to you about, why some of the women feel disenfranchised. And then they're describing a situation where they feel like they came forward in good faith to talk about why women felt disenfranchised and pretty much were told, yeah, this is really uncomfortable, so we don't want your voice. I have no internal knowledge of the situation, but I do think it's reasonable to say, if I want to understand why people aren't coming and becoming active in my movement or engaging in my movement, it's very reasonable to say, can we talk to some people? And it's also reasonable to assume you're going to hear unflattering things. Because if people are avoiding your movement, or if you feel like they're not engaging, then you're either going to hear ideas for how you can make it more attractive to them, or you're going to hear criticisms for why it's currently unattractive to them. I mean, that's pretty much what you're going to get. How are you going to get these people in? They're not in right now, so right now they're not seeing a place for themselves or a need for this. And so if you're sincere about that, I don't think that simply hearing negative or critical feedback should be sufficient for you to shut the door on it. Like Jen said, if it's not just a matter of, hey, if you had more balloons at the conference, that would rock. Because women love balloons, right?
Yeah. Oh,
so it's not going to be that simple. And there are some.
It's going to be a tough thing.
I think a lot.
Just bring dark chocolate.
To be fair,
there you go. See, I brought it here today.
I do want to say, in fairness, that a lot of the conferences, the individual conferences have made an effort.
Right.
Like I see a lot of the conference groups that are putting on conferences, especially the smaller ones, saying we want to include more diverse voices.
Right.
And I have seen some diversity at some of these great diverse speakers, and. So I don't want to make it sound like nobody's responding to this, but you're talking about like a specific situation between these two groups and why one of the groups was shut down. And I definitely, from their letter, got the view that they felt like they were responding to a call and then the door was shut in their face.
Right.
Yeah.
It was somehow unwieldy. And to my mind, okay, if I'm trying to think of all the possible scenarios for why they would reduce the number of voices that they want to hear. Okay, so maybe it's unwieldy. All right, hire somebody to help you communicate among all of the groups and coordinate, maybe have little subgroups. Every problem that I can think of, there's a solution.
Right. Well, and, their response to this kind of reminds me of a recent ad that somebody posted. It was a poster from, I think, Brigham Young University, and it was some kind of panel discussion on women in mathematics.
Oh, that was awesome.
And it was all dudes,
men.
all men on this panel. And so people were like, hey, did you guys just look at this before you put it out there?
Yeah. And the thing that killed me most on the announcement was it said, there will be treats.
Yes.
And I was like, really? Is this for children or something? That's what you see on a birthday party invitation, not for children.
And I'm like, treats, do I have to sit up and beg? Or how do I get the treat?
Right? Oh, my Lord. It's like, oh, my gosh.